The music was still playing when he loosened his grip on my hand. It wasn't sudden, it wasn't dramatic, it was careful, almost respectful, which somehow made it hurt more. His fingers slid away from mine like they had already decided they no longer belonged there. The violin continued its soft, hopeful melody, echoing through the wedding hall filled with white roses, warm lights, and people who believed they were about to witness the beginning of a lifetime. I was smiling, because brides are trained to smile, even when something feels wrong. I turned slightly toward him, my veil brushing my shoulders, my heart beating too fast beneath layers of lace and silk. I whispered his name, gently, reassuringly. "Hey, it's okay," I said. "We're here." He didn't answer. Instead, he took one step back. Just one. At first, I told myself it was nerves, cold feet. Everyone jokes about it. My grip tightened around the bouquet as I tried to laugh it off in my head. This was the happiest day of our lives. Nothing bad was supposed to happen here. Then he reached for the microphone. My smile stiffened instantly. My stomach dropped so fast it felt like the floor disappeared beneath me. I leaned toward him again, my voice shaking now. "What are you doing?" I whispered. "Please, don't do this." He still didn't look at me. "I can't do this," he said. The words were calm, steady, too steady. A few guests laughed nervously, thinking it was part of the ceremony. Someone whispered, "Is this a joke?" My mother leaned forward in her seat, confusion flickering across her face. My father straightened slowly, sensing danger before anyone else did. "I shouldn't have let this go so far," he continued. My chest tightened. My breath came shallow. I shook my head slightly, begging him silently to stop, to rethink, to remember. "This wedding," he said, pausing just long enough for phones to rise and cameras to refocus, "was a mistake." Mistake. The word slammed into me like something physical. Not fear, not doubt, not confusion. Me. My knees trembled, but I locked them in place. Falling would have meant surrender, and I wasn't ready to give him that. I stared at him, desperately searching his face for any sign that this wasn't real. "I realized," he continued, as if explaining a reasonable decision, "that I don't love her the way a husband should. Her. Not my name, not the woman he had promised forever to, just her, a thing, a problem being removed." A sharp gasp echoed through the room. My mother covered her mouth as tears spilled freely down her face. My father stood up abruptly, anger flashing in his eyes, but my aunt grabbed his arm, whispering urgently, trying to stop a scene from becoming worse. "This isn't fair to either of us. Pretending would be cruel." Cruel. The word echoed inside my head, mocking me. Pretending would be cruel, but humiliating me in front of everyone I loved wasn't? I opened my mouth to speak. Nothing came out. I looked at him, really looked at him, searching for guilt, regret, fear, anything human. I remembered the man who once held my face and promised he'd never hurt me like others had. The man who said he'd protect me from public shame. There was nothing. He handed the microphone back to the officiant like he was returning borrowed property. He nodded once, politely, and turned away. He walked past me, down the aisle we were supposed to walk together. The doors opened, then closed. The sound echoed through the hall like a final sentence. For a moment, no one moved. Then everything happened at once. Hands touched my arms. Someone tried to guide me to a chair. Voices overlapped, filled with shock and pity. "I'm so sorry. Are you okay? This can't be real." The dress felt heavier by the second.
My bouquet slipped from my hands and hit the floor, flowers scattering like pieces of something broken beyond repair. I didn't cry. I stood there, frozen, wearing a wedding dress for a marriage that never existed. That night, the world watched me break. Videos spread everywhere. The moment my smile froze, the second my eyes filled with disbelief, the way my hands dropped helplessly at my sides. Strangers slowed it down, analyzed it, judged it. She should have seen it coming. He's out of her league. She probably trapped him. Everyone had an opinion. No one had mercy. And him? He vanished. No calls, no texts, no explanation. Days turned into weeks. I barely left my apartment. The dress was packed into a box I couldn't bring myself to open. Flowers died in vases no one remembered to empty. Invitations sat unopened on the table, like they were still waiting for a future that would never come. Then, one morning, while scrolling mindlessly, I saw his face again. Smiling, an article announced his promotion, a polished photo of him in a tailored suit, a quote beneath it about courage, about choosing truth, about making hard decisions. My hands trembled as I closed the screen, and in that quiet moment, something inside me changed, because I finally understood the truth. He didn't panic at the altar. He planned it. He wanted witnesses. He wanted control. He wanted to leave me shattered while he walked away clean. And he truly believed that I would never recover.
The days after the wedding didn't explode the way movies promised they would. They collapsed quietly. Morning came and went without meaning. I stopped checking the time because it no longer mattered. My phone stayed face down on the table, not because it buzzed too much, but because it never buzzed at all. No apology, no explanation, no message that started with, "I never meant to hurt you." Nothing. People tried to help in the ways they knew how. Food appeared at my door. Friends sat beside me in silence, afraid to say the wrong thing. My mother called every night just to hear me breathe on the other end of the line. But grief isn't loud at first. It's heavy. The wedding dress stayed boxed in the corner of my bedroom like a secret I wasn't ready to face. Flowers wilted slowly in vases I forgot to empty. The apartment still smelled faintly of perfume and candles meant for a future that had evaporated in seconds. At night, my mind replayed the same moment over and over. The way his voice didn't shake, the way he said her instead of my name, the way he walked away without looking back. That was the part that hurt the most. Not that he left, but that he had already left long before that day. The internet moved on faster than my heart did. New scandals replaced my humiliation, new stories took center stage. But every now and then, a clip would resurface, a slow-motion version, a reaction video, someone pausing the frame right as my smile cracked. I stopped reading comments after one stranger wrote, "You can see the exact second she realizes she never mattered." That sentence followed me everywhere. I started therapy not because I wanted to feel better, but because I was afraid of what would happen if I didn't. The first few sessions were mostly silence. I stared at the carpet while my therapist waited patiently, never pushing, never rushing. One day she asked, "What hurts more, the loss or the way it happened?" I didn't answer right away. Then I whispered, "The audience." That was when I finally cried. Not the soft kind, the kind that shakes your chest and leaves you gasping, the kind that empties something out of you and leaves space behind, space where something else can grow. Clarity came slowly after that. I began to remember things I had ignored before, little moments that didn't seem important at the time. The way he had stopped asking my opinion, the way decisions became announcements instead of conversations, the way he spoke about our future like it was already his alone. I remembered the early days too, back when his confidence wasn't effortless, when success wasn't guaranteed, when fear followed him everywhere, even if he pretended otherwise. I was there then. I listened when no one else did.
I stayed up late helping him organize plans, review proposals, rewrite emails. When money was tight, I paid without asking to be repaid. When he needed backing, I gave it, quietly, legally, without applause. He called it technical paperwork, said I didn't need to worry about it. I trusted him. And that trust sat silently in the background while he built the life he later decided I didn't deserve to share. As weeks passed, I noticed something else too. The sadness was still there, but it no longer controlled me. In its place grew something steadier: awareness. I started taking long walks alone just to feel movement again. I cleaned out closets, deleted old photos, not because I hated the memories, but because I needed to make room for new ones that didn't hurt. One morning, while sorting through old documents, I came across a folder I hadn't opened in years: his company's early paperwork. I stared at my name on the pages longer than I expected, not because I was surprised, but because I finally understood. He hadn't just underestimated my heart, he had underestimated my position. I didn't act immediately. I didn't rush. I didn't call him or confront him or warn him. I waited. I let him settle into his version of victory, let interviews praise his bravery, let promotions elevate him higher, let him believe the chapter was closed. During that time, I rebuilt myself quietly. I learned how to say no without apologizing, learned how to sit in silence without feeling abandoned, learned that dignity doesn't come from being chosen, it comes from choosing yourself. Months later, on a calm morning that felt no different from any other, I put on a simple outfit and left my apartment. No dramatic music, no shaking hands, just intention. The building was taller than I remembered, glass and steel reflecting a sky that didn't care about my past. The receptionist greeted me politely, until she read my name. Her smile faltered just slightly. "One moment," she said. She made a call, listened, looked up at me again, this time with something closer to uncertainty than politeness. Then she stood and gestured toward the elevators. The ride up felt longer than it was. Each floor ticked by slowly, like my heart was counting time in a new way now. When the doors opened, conversation stopped. He was standing at the head of the room mid-sentence. Our eyes met. The confidence drained from his face so quickly it was almost painful to watch. I didn't smile. I didn't rush. I walked in calmly and took a seat. "I'm here," I said evenly, "to review what belongs to me." Silence filled the room. Papers were passed. Eyes scanned documents. Whispers started. He stared at the pages like they were written in a language he no longer understood. "What is this?" he asked, his voice barely above a whisper. I met his gaze, steady, clear, unafraid. "This," I said, "is what you never bothered to read." And in that moment, I saw something I had never seen on his face before: fear.
Fear didn't arrive loudly. It settled into the room quietly, like dust after something heavy falls. No one spoke. No one moved. The documents lay spread across the table, and every pair of eyes avoided mine, except his. He was still standing, still holding the pages, still trying to convince himself this was some misunderstanding that could be explained away. "This doesn't make sense," he said finally, forcing a thin smile that didn't reach his eyes. "You're confused. This is old paperwork. It doesn't—" "It does," I said calmly. My voice didn't shake. That surprised even me. "You signed it. I funded it. I stayed silent, and you never asked a single question." The room felt smaller somehow, like the walls were leaning in, waiting. One of the board members cleared his throat and adjusted his glasses. Another shifted uncomfortably in their seat. The air was thick, with the kind of tension money creates when it realizes loyalty isn't guaranteed. He looked around the room, searching for support, for someone to laugh this off, to rescue him the way he had always expected to be rescued. No one did. "I didn't think—" he started. "I know," I said. "You never did." That sentence landed harder than anything else I could have said. The meeting ended shortly after, not dramatically, not explosively, just quietly,
with the promise of follow-ups, legal reviews, and conversations that could no longer be avoided. As people filed out, no one looked him in the eye. I gathered my things slowly. There was no rush, no adrenaline, just a deep, steady calm that came from finally standing on ground that was mine. He followed me into the hallway. "Wait," he said. I stopped, but I didn't turn around. "I didn't know," he said again, his voice lower now, stripped of confidence. "I swear, if I had known—" "If you had known," I said softly, turning to face him at last, "you would have behaved differently?" He opened his mouth, closed it. That silence was answer enough. We stood there for a moment, suspended between past and present. I noticed things I hadn't before, the faint crease between his brows, the way his shoulders sagged when no one was watching. He looked human. "I never meant to hurt you," he said finally. I felt the old pain stir, but it didn't control me anymore. "You didn't mean to care," I replied. His eyes flickered. Regret tried to surface, but it was too late for that kind of honesty. "I was scared. The pressure, the expectations. I didn't think I was enough. And everyone saw you as part of me, not your own person. So you erased me," I said. He swallowed. "I needed to feel powerful," he admitted. That was the truth, and hearing it out loud didn't hurt the way I thought it would. It simply confirmed what I already knew. "You chose the worst possible way to do that," I said quietly. I turned to leave. He reached out instinctively, stopping himself just short of touching me. The distance between us felt larger than it ever had before. "Is this revenge?" he asked. I paused. "No," I said honestly. "This is balance." After that day, things moved quickly, but not chaotically. Lawyers spoke where emotions no longer needed to speak. Contracts were reviewed. Authority was redistributed. Decisions that once flowed through him alone now required consensus. His name was still on the building, but it no longer stood alone. He tried calling me that night. I didn't answer. He tried again the next day, then the next. Each missed call felt like a quiet reminder of how roles had reversed, how silence, once used against me, now belonged to me. When we finally spoke again, it wasn't dramatic. We met in a neutral place, a quiet cafe neither of us had memories tied to. No witnesses, no audience. "I didn't sleep," he said, stirring a cup of coffee he never drank. "I keep replaying that day, the wedding." I didn't respond. "I didn't expect you to survive it this way," he added. That almost made me smile. "I didn't expect you to need an audience to leave," I replied. He flinched. "I thought you'd disappear," he admitted. "I thought people like you don't come back from something like that." "People like me?" I asked. He hesitated. "Kind, loyal, quiet." I leaned back slightly. "You confused kindness with weakness. A lot of people do." He nodded slowly, like the lesson was finally sinking in. "I lost more than I realized," he said. "Yes," I agreed. "You did. But not the way he meant." Over time, the story changed. Not the viral clips, not the internet's version. That would always exist. But the real one. I stopped being the bride who got left. I became the woman who stood back up without asking permission, the one who didn't scream or beg or chase closure, the one who chose dignity when humiliation was offered, the one who didn't destroy but didn't surrender either. Months later, I walked past the same building again. This time, I didn't go inside. I didn't need to. I had already reclaimed what mattered. Power doesn't always look like revenge. Sometimes it looks like peace. Sometimes it looks like walking away without needing the other person to understand. That night, I unpacked the last box in my apartment. At the bottom, folded carefully, was the wedding dress. I didn't cry. I didn't burn it. I donated it, because it belonged to a version of me who believed love required sacrifice without limits. I had learned better. As I turned off the lights and sat quietly, I realized something else too. He ended our wedding in public to break me. He wanted me small, ashamed, finished. What he didn't expect was that the same silence he left me in would become the space where I rebuilt everything. And this time, my life didn't need witnesses to be real.